Have you ever taken that perfect setup? You got a very good entry, take profit is looking close, you're in, everything is looking sweet. Just before you get to take profit, and then boom, it happens, price starts stalling, and then you eventually end up hitting stop loss. That's because you ignored one simple thing that most scalpers tend to ignore that makes them inconsistent, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. I'm going to show you guys many examples, how to spot it, how to avoid losing those trades, and how you can consistently start to secure some profits. All right, quick break. Let's just take 60 seconds to quickly show you something that is amazing. What is the drawdown on most funded next account?
Certainly, funded next CFD challenge accounts do not use trailing or static drawdown rules. Instead, they have a daily loss limit based on the initial account balance, which resets at midnight server time. For example, the Stellar 1-Step account has a daily loss limit of 3% of the initial balance, while Stellar 2-Step allows 5%, and Stellar Lite has 4%. Stellar Instant accounts are the only ones with a trailing drawdown. Does that help clarify?
Yes. So that was just one question. I'm going to ask you another question in a second, but you guys kind of see what I'm talking about here. Most of us has failed many challenges just because we can't be asked to read the terms and conditions. We don't know the rules and regulations. We don't know the in-between and fine prints. But now all you have to do is just ask, and it's going to break everything down in detail. So now gone are those days where you're going to fail a challenge because you don't know what's going on. So I'm going to ask you another question just to see exactly how it performs. But so far, this is a game changer. Funded Next are the first to do it. This is big because now you know exactly what you're in for before you go into any trading challenges. What challenges have a consistent zero?
Could you please clarify what you mean by challenges have a consistent zero? Are you referring to a specific rule, fee, or feature in Funded Next challenge programs? This will help me provide the most accurate information for you.
What challenge has a consistency rule?
Funded Next CFD accounts do not have a strict consistency rule for trading strategy. While it's recommended to maintain disciplined and consistent trading habits for long-term success, you are not required to use the same strategy for every trade.
Boom. So if you want to try this out now, there'll be a link in the description below. Make sure you do check this out. This is amazing. It's going to be a game changer for sure. I'll leave a link in the description. Thanks to Funded Next for introducing this. This is big, man. All right. So I'm going to start by telling you the rule that you need to start following. It's going to be very simple. Never hold a trade without taking action, either moving your stop loss to break even, taking profit, something, when you have a supply or demand in the way of your take profit. So right here, we have a supply zone coming up. We have a clean price action, price broke the slow, and now we're retracing back to this supply zone right here. Price taps the zone, boom, and we're waiting for an entry. We enter this trade. So the moment you are in this trade now, you need to start thinking of that rule. Where is my take profit? Now, your take profit, let's say you're going for 101, 1-1 is right here. If you're going for 1-2, then your 1-2 is down here. That's fine. But here's the rule that you need to now start keeping in mind from now on is, before I hit take profit, what is in the way that can prevent price from getting there? First, you have this demand zone. It doesn't matter what time frame the demand zone is on, to be honest. If you look at the 5-minute in this case, you do want to check sometimes. Do we have a 5-minute demand in the way as well? So on the 5-minute, you can see there is no demand in the way. So that's cool. Sometimes you want to check the 5, you want to check the 15. Generally though, I don't like to check too many. Otherwise, you will end up finding something on one time frame and it's just going to cause confusion. So keep it simple. If you're going to check one time frame, just check one. Now, if you're going to just check the 5, keep it as the 5. Don't check the 5, 15, 1 hour daily, because then you're just going to hesitate. But in this case, on the 5, there's nothing in the way stopping this trade from getting there. The only thing I could possibly say is after this, right here, there is no more fair value gaps, right? That's the final fair value gap. So price might hesitate at this point, but it's still pretty close to that 1-1 stop loss. It's still pretty close to that 1-1 take profit. So I'm going back to the 3-minute, right? We can see that we do have this right here. So at this point, 1-1 is the most important thing in my head at the moment. When price taps into here, we can see price still taps into the zone before we hit that 1-1. So realistically, price can tap here, price can come in right here, and then eventually reverse. It might not even hit your take profit. That's a possibility. So it's something to keep in mind. So in this case, you can do two things. Number one, just close all positions as soon as you hit the zone, or you can go for the 1-1 and just hope price is gonna hit your 1 hour. right? And if you hit it or not, you can close the positions. But one key thing that you want to do for sure, I like to say, is you want to use that break-even rule. Break-even is going to save your life so many times. Yes, in some cases, price would, retrace, stop you at break-even, eventually go to TP. It happens to everybody, but you will appreciate the days when price goes back to break-even and eventually goes, all the way back up, and you're happy that you left that break-even. So I prefer having a good psychology and having a peace of mind. So in this case, what I would do, for example, is at 1 hour, I might close 50% of my trade, right? You can see how price hit the zone. Crazy enough, price hit the zone and immediately retraced like I said it would, which is kind of crazy, right? So in this case, boom, 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 price hit the zone twice now. Do we hit 1 hour? We don't actually know yet. So you can see price hit the zone 3 times. At that point, bro, you are probably cooked, right? Price hit the zone 3 times in this case. It respected the zone 3 times and it didn't get to your 1-to-1. Do we eventually get stopped out? So luckily enough, right, we held and price now hits 1 hour. So at this point, you're moving that stop loss to break even, bro. Whether you take some partials, whatever the case is, up to you. But now, then you can worry about going for the 2 hour afterwards. So from in this situation now, do we get that 2 hour? No, you can see eventually price will stop you at break even. That's cool. But at least you had a peace of mind, bro. First of all, this getting all the way up here is scary. But this is one example of how you need to keep an eye out for whatever's going to be in the way. This caused a big problem. You could have been in and out of this trade realistically if you just said, you know what, as soon as price hits that supply demand amount, boom. At that point, you'd have been out of this trade in precisely 6 minutes. Boom, done. You don't have to stress. But because you're trying to go for 1 hour, that 6 minutes literally became like an extra 30, even more. Right? Which is kind of crazy. And then if you're going for 2 hours, you're going to be in this trade for like 2 hours or so. The biggest issue that I've realized that most people have, people only consider higher time frame problems, right? They just believe, you know what, only if it's on the 5, the 15 minute, the 30 minute, the 1 hour, that's when it's a big issue. But I'm telling you now, I've seen a 1 minute supply and demand zone cause big problems. You can have a 1 minute demand and a 1 minute supply is going to stop that from happening. It does happen. So don't just solely focus on the high time frame. Realize that any supply or demand can cause a problem. So you have to accept the risk that comes with it and know that, okay, how do I want my system to play as? Some people go with just saying, you know what, at the demand, I'm just gonna go break even or take partials or something. But you wanna have a system you follow that suits your psychology. It needs to suit how you trade, because I might do it a particular way, it might not suit you. Sometimes I have seasons where at 1 hour, I'll go partials. Take 50% off, 25% off. Sometimes I'll just hold straight for 1 or 2, but it all depends on how you're feeling in that season. If you're struggling, then I would recommend playing it safer. So I'm gonna show you guys another example. So, especially if you're scalping, this is key. This is another trade I took live. This trade right here, we have a supply zone right here. At this supply zone, price enters, we enter the trade, boom. Cool, all good. The usual stuff, stop losses here, boom. Take profit, you're going for 1 or 2, cool. But at this point, guess what? We do have a demand. Now this is on the same time frame. So this is on the 3 minute. We have a demand right there. So here's what I did. At this particular point, I went for 1 hour and immediately, as soon as we hit it, remember this is one candle going straight there. The moment we hit it, I'm not waiting for it to close. I'm not waiting for anything. The moment we tap that, boom, stop loss straight to break even, take some money off the table, and eventually now let price do its thing. You can see the next 2 candles is GG's. If you're gonna be scalping, this is important because sometimes you have a split seconds to decide, get money, get out. If you hesitate, you're cooked. If you hesitate, it's done. So very, very important. This is something that I would say implement, backtest it, see how it works for you, try it out, see if it helps your psychology a little bit. You're more confident, you're more at peace when you're trading. Once you backtest it for 3 to 6 months and you see that it works for you, then yes, implement it. Pick a system, pick one method that suits you and just stick to that and start doing it on live. Like and subscribe if this was useful, and watch this next video if you want to learn 100 other ways that you might be trading incorrectly.